We look for long shadows to move through. We step softly and whisper when we speak. We're going to see Her Majesty, the Queen, and we're going to die. We left the forests and the fields and the wilds of the woodlands and came to the edge of the city, the edge of the hive. And then we crossed that edge. We've gone far enough now that there will be no turning back. This road only runs one way. Straight into the center, to the heart of the hive. Its living, pulsing heart, where the Queen resides. Or so they say. They say, I tell my young companion, that when the Queen was just a princess, just a child, she was out playing in the royal gardens when she found a strange plant growing amongst the roses. A rough, thorny flower with petals the color of rust. The story goes that she went to pick it, but in doing so, one of the thorns pierced her skin, and that's how the infection started. My companion is perhaps 15 years old. She doesn't have a name. Nobody's had a name worth learning or repeating in at least 20 years. She's lucky she's got ears and eyes. These days, most babies are born missing sensory organs. It happens so often it's pretty much become the norm. Something in the water or in the air twists up children in their mother's wombs. What chance do they have? What chance do any of us have? I have no chance. I am going to die. The pack on my back is heavy. The weight inside it is fastened in snugly, but it is heavy and my back is sore. My muscles are sore and I am tired. I think I may be almost 40 years old now. I've lost track of the time. I haven't eaten a warm meal in months, maybe longer. Everything hurts. It hurts to be alive, but not for much longer. I shift the weight on my back and we press on, hustling quickly from shadow to shadow, avoiding the honeyed beams of sunlight that shine through the outer walls of the hive, and avoiding the residents. We are inside the hive now. We didn't want to go, but we must. It has to be us. There are so few people left now, so it has to be us. My companion and I. Once upon a time, they called this city London, but now it is just the hive. Every so often you can see slight evidence of cobblestone streets and roadway pavement lost amongst the rust-colored weeds and the hardened carapace that's grown over everything that once was. There is still a city here. There are still buildings and roads, but they're all made of bone and held together with raw, sinewy meat. There are skyscrapers, alleyways, all made of the same stuff, all made of the hive, the body of the Queen. I was here once, when I was a child, I tell my companion. Not exactly right here, but just in London, in general. What was it like then? I look around myself, unable to describe what I'm seeing, nor what I had once seen. Different, I say. We went to a zoo. What's a zoo? My companion asks. It's a place where there are animals from all over the world, I say. In cages. That doesn't sound much different to me, she says. And perhaps she has a point. Everything is curved in this place. Nature rarely grows straight lines, but seems to prefer arches and bows. Some of the buildings look like old bone, gone gray and grown over with thick fungi and molds. The smells are so thick and pungent that every so often my companion has to stop to gag. I do as well, but I hide it better than she does. The smells are putrid, like rotting flesh. What happened to the princess? My companion asks. The thorn on the flower that pricked her, it poisoned her, I say. This is the story I'd been told years ago. It's all I know about the world I live in. At first it was just in one cell of her body, and then it was all through her, in her blood and in her muscles and in her brain. First it spread throughout her, and then it started to change her. We have to move quietly. There are things living in the hive. We call them the residents. They're a bit like people, or like what people used to be. They look like people, but also like insects. They are nude in exoskeletons. They have sharp incisors and snapping mandibles. They move around the hive doing various specialized tasks, helping to make the hive larger and stronger. But they don't have to build it. The hive just grows. The hive is alive. It is spreading. The poison made the little princess hungry, and she just got hungrier and hungrier the more the poison grew within her. At first she was okay just eating larger meals, but then one day she ate one of the royal dogs, picked it right up off the ground and ate it raw. That's when things really began to change. All the buildings here are made of the same stuff. Even the sky is blotted out by it, by the exterior walls of the hive, which arc over everything like a great dome. A dome built of bones and sinew and cartilage. A dome that can breathe and bleed. It aches and expands. If you listen, you can hear it. I can hear it now, and so can my companion. We can hear the sound of the city growing, the sound of the hive swelling beneath our feet. It's like a distant humming, a whisper becoming louder. Every day she grew a little bit larger. Eventually they were feeding her whole cows, 1 a day and then 2 a day and then 3. They wouldn't even prepare them or cook them or kill them. They'd just send the cows in 3 at a time, walking into her room. Nobody else would go in there. Everybody was scared of her. We are moving through the city. If the residents find us, they will kill us. They will tear us into pieces, and they will consume the pieces, or feed us to their young, or feed us to the hive. The hive is always hungry. It craves fresh meat. This is why there are so few people left now. For a while, it looked as though she was growing larger herself, big and tall and round, taking up more and more space. and then her body began to spread. It spread to the walls and the ceiling and the floor. And then the princess was just a little girl again. But she was also the room, and the room was growing larger. We creep through the city, through the body that is the hive. As we get closer to the core, the center of it all, the structures begin to glisten, and the humming gets louder. We're almost there. We're almost at the end. The residents would like to find us, but we are very quiet and keep to the shadows. We watch for where the hive grows eyes to watch for intruders. Thickly compounded things that grow from the bones of the hive like blinking tumors. They are watching for us, and if they see us, the whole hive will know, all at once. We are going to the center of the hive, the heart. At the center of the hive is a building, standing all alone in the middle of a field. It looks almost like a cathedral. If you could build a cathedral out of the skeletal remains of giant bugs. The walls of the cathedral are darker than the walls of the hive, and all around the cathedral grow the rust-colored flowers. There is a whole field of the flowers. And at the center of that field is the cathedral. There is light diffused through the outer walls of the hive, making everything look pale and honeyed. The light makes the rust-colored flowers shine and sparkle. The walls of the cathedral are glistening, like the thing just grew up fresh from the ground. They say that in the center of the hive, in a room all alone, sits the little girl who was once the princess, who is now the queen. And from her, all this grows. I've told my companion what I know. I have my pack still on my back. There is nothing left for us to do, nowhere else for us to go. We cross the field of rust-colored flowers and approach the cathedral. I'm sure the residents will see us now. They must. I can't imagine how they could not. Except it is known that the residents avoid the cathedral, for it is a sacred space to them. That is not truly known, of course, but it is what I have been told. I've told my companion. She knows all that I know, but I carry the pack. We cross the field and approach the cathedral. But of course it is not a cathedral. It just looks like one, but that is not what it is. There are no doors to open, just a large, arched doorway. A fleshy opening leading within, which reminds me of a throat. My companion and I go into the building that is not a cathedral, careful not to touch the walls. The floor is sticky. I try not to look down. Inside, the space seems larger than it was outside. There are no features to the space. It is simply a large open area flanked by white bone walls which are held together with patches of sinewy, soft tissue. In the center of the space sits a small girl. She might be about 10 years old. She is dressed like how little girls used to be dressed, back before everything changed. She seems to be sitting on a chair. She can see us, but she says nothing. We get closer and we can see that she's not sitting. Something is spreading out of her, thick vines. It's as though her spine has sprouted out of her back and started growing across the floor and into the walls. Thin coils of bone and flesh grow from the back of her and spread out further, spread out across everything we've seen. Someday, if they can, they will cover the world. She'll cover the world with her body, with the hive. We're looking at the little princess, the one from my story, but we're seeing the queen and the hive both. A living construction, forever growing larger. Her roots dig into the soil and her outer walls block out the sunlight. Her residents bring other forms of life to various points in the hive, spots grown to ingest raw organic matter so she might use that flesh to make more of herself. There she sits, the little princess, the queen of this place. She rules it. She is it. It is her body. We are inside it, inside her. The pack on my back is heavy. Here and now, finally, I get to place it down. As I unpack my bag, the queen opens her mouth and emits a scream that surely must take years off my life. The sounds she makes are not words, not our words, not human words, not human sounds even. They are a call, a summoning, a roar of something monstrous. The calling of the queen is like glass shattering and lightning burning. The queen is screaming and she will not stop. Her residents hear her and they respond. They come to this point, to the center of the hive, and they stand outside the large arched doorway and they scream at us. They will not enter the heart of the hive. It is a sacred space. We are violating all of their laws just by being here ourselves. We will not survive this. As I unpack my bag, my companion wanders a bit too close to the princess, the queen, and in that moment, my companion is undone. The queen reaches out with a hand that is not a human hand, her skin dotted with the same sharp thorns that adorn the rust-colored flowers, and my companion is cut down. I don't quite see it happen, but I get enough. I see the young woman I've been traveling with falling to the ground like her puppet strings have been clipped. She went limp and tumbled down to the floor, her blood spurting out of the tears in her flesh. Waves of blood. I can see her body convulsing, the blood spilling out. I can hear it, hear her gasping, even as the queen is still screaming. But I have to complete my task. The last thing I will ever do still has to be done while there is still time, before it is too late. With blood spilled, whatever taboos kept the residents from entering the cathedral are no more. And with nothing to hold them back, the residents swarm into the room, all grasping hands and baying mouths. They come for me, the intruder, the stranger in their midst. They come to kill me, to destroy me, to tear me apart once they get their hands on me. I ignore them as they rush across the room, sweeping up at me like a tide. I pay no attention to their panting, their screaming, their fists and their teeth. They are coming for me, They are moments away. They could reach out and touch me, and within fractions of a second they will. They'll get me in their hands and they will tear me apart. For her, for their queen, for their hive, for their survival. The device I've taken from my pack is humming its own little song, in opposition to the humming of the hive. It is a mechanical sound, for this is a mechanical device. It is the last device that will be built by the hands of a human. We've had our time. We're done now. I'm done now. I activate the device as the residents reach me, and together we are bathed in the pure radiance it emits. The last of the great human minds built this device and gave it to me. Well, they gave it to somebody far stronger and smarter than me, but then she died, and then the next person down the line died, and so on and so forth until finally it came to me and my companion who is now dead. The device is a bomb, a neutron bomb, a proton bomb, a bomb of some sort. It works on some simple, primal aspect of physics. Atomic bombs, nuclear bombs, those were massive. This thing fits in a backpack and releases a charge large enough to knock the Earth out of its orbit. A charge large enough to eradicate everything in the hive that used to be London, and probably most life on Earth. A charge big enough to put an end to it all, to the Queen, the residents, to the humans, and every last trace of our doomed civilization, and everything we'd been before the Queen and her hive took it all away. Or maybe the myths aren't true, and this is just what human existence has always looked like. Honestly, I have trouble remembering. I haven't had a solid meal or a decent night's sleep in the past decade. I forgot my own name years ago. Maybe I'm wrong about everything. But here I am. I stand in a cathedral made of living bones. A cathedral which is glistening with embryonic fluids. I'm in the heart, or the womb, or the center of the hive. The body of the Queen isn't structured like we're structured. Her body is so many limbs and rooms. She grows vines and circuitry. She grows chemical plants and security systems. She grows her children, the residents, and she sets them to tasks with subconscious cues and genetically programmed inclinations. The residents have come for me. They're here now. I feel their hands on me. I feel their fingers digging into my skin. They'd kill me if they could, but they don't have time. The device is bathing us all in its light. For a moment, time is frozen, and I can see all things perfectly in this moment. I can see my own hand as the light slides around my fingers like jeweled waters. All around me, the air is full of diamonds, reflecting infinite fractal radiance. The light consumes us. It fills us up. It extends into the spaces between our molecules, entwined within the patterns of energy that make up our physical forms. This is the end, then. The end of Earth, the end of humanity, the end of the Queen and the hive and whatever it was that grew up from that strange soil. The rust-colored flowers and their thorns. More importantly, it is the end of me. I am the only thing I can trust to be real. I am the only thing, and I am everything in my existence. Everything else that is outside of me isn't real like I am real. And now, that realness is ending. It's the end of everything I am, everything I thought, everything I knew, everything I can feel and think and sense. When I am alive, I am a reflection of all things. The world, the people, the universe, it's all just there for me to perceive. And I am the only thing that can be taken as truly real, for as much as anything can be thought of as real. And now I am going away. And now I am gone. The bomb goes off and carves a hole hundreds of meters into the ground and decimates the surrounding miles and knocks the earth right off its axis. The mantle of the earth shakes, the great plates disrupted. There is a blinking of a great eye, a flash of light so bright it becomes darkness, a warmth so hot it becomes cold. There is the queen, the residents, the last of the living humans, and me. There is a single breath. We share a single heartbeat, and then we are no more. Nothing is.